hopefully down towards the stretch, that's when he calms it down. But yeah.
So speaking about emotions, the 49ers are going to play the Seahawks. Coming off that Dallas game, they had an emotional letdown. The 49ers right now are fighting for that number 1 seed. They're going into the playoffs. Their ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. Do you think that there's going to be an emotional letdown against a team that potentially they feel like they should easily win? Or do you think that they're going to be able to stay up for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think that's possible for this one. This is the game where I kind of get a little hesitant that they could be on a winning out. I think emotional letdown, they're not going to blow them out. It's going to be like one of those tough wins, kind of, or at the very least, it's going to be like a tough half, and then they just pull away. Kind of almost like the wild card round last year, where I was like, oh my god, the Seahawks are making this a game in the first half, and then all of a sudden the Niners pull away like midway through the third quarter. But I think because getting up for because this for sure these guys are celebrating that win until today. And then until tomorrow, now it's like the Eagles. That's such a because that game really was circled. I don't give a crap what any of them said. Like that game was definitely circled. Good team. You already know the beef. So that's one that's you're still feeling good off of. And then you got the Seahawks. You kind of beat them too pretty convincingly just 2 weeks ago. Now it's like you're at home. It's like it's fine. But the Seahawks side, you got to think about it. They're rested. They're probably pissed off. They're especially in desperation mode. So now this is kind of like a little tricky where I think this is going to be one of those tough and ugly wins for the 49ers, but it's almost like I don't mean to say 24, like they're going to score like 24 or 27 and like 20-20. It's going to be a lot. I feel like it's going to be a lot closer than the Thanksgiving game for sure. So emotional letdown in terms of like, should they beat the brakes off them? Hell yeah. I just don't think they're going to. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be that much of a letdown that it's going to upset them because I'm just too much of a believer at the momentum they're on right now.
I love that. I agree. I think I could see the next couple games where they are replaying. Like I think when they play the Eagles again, if they do end up playing the Eagles again, that it'll be a closer game. I always feel like when teams rematch each other, even if I still have faith that the 49ers are going to win against the Seahawks, you expect that the opposing team is going to have a little bit of a better game plan because they can figure out what the 49ers were able to exploit last time. Now, are they going to be able to help DK Metcalf stay out of his head and in the game and not let Ward completely take him out of it? I don't know, but I'm impressed by Charvarius Ward. So before we end it up and end it, I wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to mention some players that you thought stuck out for this game and that you're excited to see for the rest of the season. Do you have maybe 2 game balls for defensive players from this game or that you're excited to see moving forward?
Yeah, I think my game balls, I'm going to give them to both the corners, Deommodore Lenoir and Embry Thomas, because it's just so much
like Lenoir was crazy at the end. I love that.
Yeah, that I've never seen a corner to make a hit like that. That's insane. But it's just how underrated that move was and why it's really played a significant role in why the defense is so good because you actually have corners who can actually stay in coverage. And that was one of your gripes too about like when we had our bye week show. It's like, how can the defensive lineman get there when these guys aren't covering for longer than 2.2 seconds or whatever? Now all of a sudden, Oliver out, Lenoir inside, Thomas outside, which of course was a gamble because it always felt like Embry and Isaiah Oliver were kind of neck and neck, but Oliver probably had at least would make up his poor play with some good ones. But now it's like, and he got to the point where it was just like, now he's way too much of a liability where it's like, let's just try Thomas. Let's just figure out what Thomas, and he is probably playing the best ball of his life.
At safety for a little bit in the last game.
Yeah, but that was only because of desperation, right? Since Afunga's gone, like Eric Harris just barely got here. You're not going to throw Eric Harris out there in just 2 days when he's been there. That's why they signed, that Logan Ryan guy? Ryan. So now you got depth there just in case because you can't have I just don't think they want Oliver, first of all, on the field at all. And then number 2, it's like he's playing safety. He can't even do his natural position right. What makes you think he's going to do safety right? So anyways, yeah, that's just more for
a couple of, I was listening to something earlier about his previous team. He did play safety a little bit, but I mean, he's definitely like a depth piece because he's like
that was more for desperation. Right? They don't want him out there on the field, because kind of run out. It's not like you have 5 safeties aboard that you could just roll out there. And remember, Odom got hurt too. So it's like, so at that point, I think that was the game he did get hurt too. So yeah, you had to roll him out. Yeah, you had to roll him out of desperation. Now you don't have to. And now you can be a special teams guy again. So yeah, it's those two guys. I'm probably writing it so much because how much they've been playing good the last 4 games, but they were fine. You know, your Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, they actually had pretty good games, but it wasn't to the point where they were just like taking over, which is exactly what you want.
I saw something with Charvarius Ward where he's only given up 2 touchdowns or something, and something like 15 completions, and he's like number 1 in that. The second person has given up 13. Am I saying that wrong? I'm saying that wrong.
On the 49ers? Or?
Charvarius Ward is doing really well. That's my point.
Yes. He's doing impressive.
And I feel like I started to recognize it, and I think it was Chris Roscoe's from Twitter told me this before the Seahawks game that Ward was underrated at the time. It was either Chris or it was Steph, because I was talking to both of them about it. But I really noticed it in that Seahawks game when they had him following around DK, and then you heard Steve Wilkes talk in his press conference about how Ward had actually gone to them and asked to start following around wide receivers previously prior to that Seahawks game. It was just during that game that they thought that was an opportunity to start testing it out. And then you saw him carry that on with AJ Brown. And you're right, AJ Brown got some catches, but they didn't make that much of an impact, clearly. So
yeah,
a lot of those sacks were coverage sacks. Now, I don't know if that was, I definitely feel like they were rushing differently to try to slow down the run game, which, I mean, I think that's kind of ball game for the 49ers if you look at the amount of rushing yards per carry that
the lack of scramble plays, the backyard football plays. I think that was ultimately what would have killed him the most than his actual scrambling. But yeah, it helped both. That was great. It was just phenomenal game planning.
I thought so too. Did you want to do game balls for the offensive side? I feel like we've talked about it a lot. So
obviously, I think we all can say Debo. I mean, Debo. It's not that hard to say Debo for sure.
Exactly.
But and then if I'm giving a second one, I'll give the second game ball actually to Purdy because of the NFC Championship game where it's like I think after that game, and I asked it on Twitter, which is funny because me and my cousin were talking about it, and he was like, oh, now everyone's gonna talk about like, oh, we would have won, and I'm like. Honestly, I think they would have won. And then I think me and you were talking about this last week too, about like if he plays like how we kept saying like the Eagles didn't really run away with it until towards the end of the third quarter. And I feel like it literally was cut and paste of how it would look like. Now you got Purdy in here and then boom. So I'll give him the game ball because he was the difference maker between the two. But yeah, far and away, like if I can give both game balls, I'd give him the Debo though, because it was just like to have that shit talk. And again, I know he was asked, but ultimately shit talk doesn't matter if you said it out of nowhere or you were asked, face value, it's still the same. So to do that multiple times throughout the year, and this is why we said like, oh, he's not talking so much last week. It's like, yeah, he's done with talking. He's freaking ready. Sure enough, look what happens.
I thought it was pretty incredible. Definitely stood on business. Love that they all showed up in all black for the funeral for the Eagles.
That's crazy. We're
going to close this out because speaking of all black, the lighting in his room is going down. I had so much fun talking to you, Jose. Such a fun game. We'll be sure to talk next week, see if we're correct about the 49ers showing up for this Eagles game. Thank you so much for everyone who watched. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be on with Vish tomorrow night. It's going to be late night because he has work, so I don't usually do later streams, but I don't know how that's going to work because I'm going to try for it to not be super, super dark in here. But I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. It still feels, I know it's Tuesday, but it feels like Victory Monday. I feel like after a win, after such a highly anticipated win, a highly anticipated game, and then a win like that, kind of floating through the week, feeling really good. So everyone have a good time. Go get something to eat unless you were like Jose and were late to watching the show because you were finishing your dinner.
Oh yeah, I'm still about to eat after this too. I'm hungry.